Before we begin, a note from our sponsor. I'm Richard Jacobs, Executive Director of the nonprofit Finding Genius Foundation and host of the Finding Genius podcast. In late 2016, I was rear-ended at 65 miles an hour by a truck on the highway, which sent me off-road into a ditch. The impact of the collision gave me a concussion and other injuries. At the hospital, a CT scan showed that I had thyroid nodules, which turned out to be cancer. It was then, when I had a biopsy in my neck, that I realized even if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't want a second or a third biopsy due to the pain and the invasiveness of it. And appointments at that time for thyroid experts were 3 to 6 months out, and I was worried about dying now, even if that was irrational. So because of this, I've decided to raise money to conduct a literature review on steroids, on the causes of anxiety and depression, a condition that affects well over 50 million people in the United States and hundreds of millions worldwide. Our goal is to create a codex, a guide that reveals all possible treatments for anxiety and depression for people that live with the condition, or for loved ones that have it, as my wife and my son do. To find out more about our fundraiser, visit findinggeniusfoundation.org and click on current initiatives. And now, to our guest. It's one thing to listen to doom and gloom about food and fertilizer shortages, skyrocketing prices, the cost of living, or your job being outsourced overseas or eliminated due to automation. It's quite another thing to hear practical, immediately actionable advice from experts who can help you reduce the fear, anxiety, and burden of these problems. Tune in now to the Surviving Hard Times podcast from the Finding Genius Foundation with Richard Jacobs.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Surviving Hard Times podcast. I've got a great bunch of guests today. They're called the Texas Boys, TD and Matt. And we're going to talk about their journey from the East Coast to Texas and how they got into farming and what they're working on today. So thanks, guys, for coming.
Hey, Richard, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Well, tell me about, a bit about your history and your journey. Where did you guys come from before you were in Texas, and what made you come here?
We migrated 8 years ago from the Northeast, and we had experienced different things in life and society. And my wife and I had been talking, and we had thought of planning an exit strategy to walk to freedom and move somewhere that more aligned with our lifestyle, our way of life, our thought process, and all these different things. So 8 years ago, we packed up everything we owned. Well, we dramatically reduced our lifestyle. And actually, we packed up an 8x12 U-Haul, one-way U-Haul trailer, and just put everything that would fit in there. And we moved to Texas, and we left everything else behind.
Oh, wow. What kind of jobs were you guys doing before you moved?
So 11 years, I was a financial planner. And then I moved into the field of general construction. So I was a general contractor before we moved, and I had a decent sized, relatively lucrative business there in the Northeast as a general contractor.
Okay. So you decide what made you decide to leave the Northeast, and like what state were you in?
For a lot of different reasons, we kind of don't disclose where we originally moved from, but we were in the tri-state area there, and we were tired. I own my own business, and we were just getting taxed to death. What actually happened, one of the antithesis of what made us desire to move, is there was a storm event that knocked out our power. And I'm trying to remember what year that was. I think it was 2010. We had a storm event and knocked out our power, and everybody. It was a pretty widespread power outage. So many of the gas stations didn't have power, and most of the homes were without power. And it literally created like widespread panic. People at the gas pumps like freaking out and like threatening people. It was so strange. And I remember coming home from work. It was on a Saturday, and I told my wife, I'm like, people up here are losing their minds in this tiny like blip in the infrastructure, and everybody loses their mind. I'm like, we really need to get out of here, because the life is so synthetic and artificial that the tiniest in the matrix, and everybody loses it. So that was what got us thinking about it. And then a couple years after that, in 2014, I think, is when we pulled the trigger and decided to move down here to Texas.
That's funny, because that's the exact same path I took. I was in New York. Hurricane Sandy came. There was like 3 and 4 hour lines for gas. People were stabbing each other at the pump. And then the city screwed everyone over. There were people near the water that lost power for a year. And then when they tried to turn it on, the city said, "Oh, you need permits, you need this, that, and the other." And no one cared. And I remember I had it with it too, and we moved out of there literally the same year. Because it was like a third world country, and I said, "This is ridiculous." So I'm with you, literally.
And I was actively involved in Superstorm Sandy and helping rebuild, and we saw all the shenanigans that went on with FEMA and all that stuff. And I had clients and customers that wanted my services, but because of what was being done with the bridges and access, and then there was a very large corporation that had come in. I'm trying to remember the name of their outfit, but they had come in a week early ahead of the storm and posted up on a lot of the islands. And so they had already cornered the market. And some of my customers, I couldn't even help them because I couldn't reach them because they had shut the bridges down.
Jeez, I understand. Yeah, I guess more than you guys thought. So you guys all moved to Texas, and then what was the plan there? Like when you came, did you have a plan, or you knew what you wanted to do?
That was, we were really winging it. We had never been to Texas. We didn't know anybody in Texas. We had no contacts. We had no friends or family in Texas. So it was very much like a pioneering mindset. We're going to go here. We're going to get a lay of the land, and we're just going to literally hit the reset button and start over again. And it kind of fit with what we wanted to do with our lifestyle by downsizing and simplifying our lifestyle and living a more purposeful, slow type, meaningful life that's just comprised real and natural and nature, and just really the opposite of what we were kind of living in the Northeast, like a hustle and bustle and concrete jungle and sidewalks and blowing and going and all that stuff. It was really, we wanted to kind of hit the reset button in that way and just live a completely different lifestyle. And so we moved down here. We found a rental on Craigslist. We drove into town. We chose the second rental we looked at. Yeah. And that's how it started. And that was 8 years ago.
Well, 2 years ago, we had that winter where power was knocked out. So that was either a good or a bad stress test for you guys. Yeah. How did that go? Yeah. Just, because you had been here by 6 years by that time.
We were much better prepared for that, because actually the interesting story is when we moved in February, and we were only here about a week, and we got a huge ice storm that knocked the power out. And it was neat to experience the community, because we had nothing, and our newly formed neighbors in our little country community where we were renting, they rallied around us and provided us with heaters and different things because we literally had nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with what we affectionately refer to as snowpocalypse, we were very much prepared for that. We had multiple generators.
Yeah, we always like to prepare so then we can go out into the community and help. So we were actually able to go out and help our neighbor across the street because he was trapped in his home about 40 minutes away from his ranch. And he has all of his cattle and everything, and ponds and the lakes were all frozen over. So the cows couldn't really get any water from them. And then he had a pasture that didn't have a pond on it, and the water tanks were totally frozen up. So it was kind of funny. I started filming everything, and the video kind of went super viral. I think it has almost like 200,000 views or more now. And so we just went ahead, and they're big old Longhorn cattle, and we went out there and we started breaking up the ice and helping them out, and mainly just being a lifesaver for them. And it was just really good. It kind of felt like we were returning the favor from 6 years ago when our community reached out and helped us out. So it's just been a blessing that God's been able to bless us, and we've been able to bless our community that much more.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I kind of laughed when you talked about the community helping you, because it's, from people trying to stab you and push you out of the way to people helping you, it's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference. Yeah. And that's really honestly why we wanted to move is we just wanted to be realigned with a community that more fit our core values. And a lot of it, I don't blame, the culture and the society in the Northeast. It's so synthetic that people become so detached.
Yeah.
And they're in such a hurry, and there's deadlines and timelines, and not that those things are bad, but what it does is it just creates a very neurotic psychomatic feedback loop. It just creates a psychosis, in my opinion, from experience. And I was born and raised up there, and that's where I grew up. And I am thankful for the street smarts that I learned. That's continued to guide me, so to speak, today. But yeah, it is a completely different world.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. It took, probably a year once I got down here to calm down. But I realized that when you're in, and again, it's not to offend anyone up there, but
no,
by the time you get into your 40s, if you're still up there, you've been there your whole life, you're usually like a miserable wretch.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at my it's true. I remember looking at my driver's license, which I still have from New York, and I look horrible.
Yeah.
I look so much better, and I'm happier now. And my wife said, "Oh yeah, you're a lot happier, less problems." So I understand.
Richard, where did y'all relocate to?
Oh, we're in Austin.
Oh, you're in Austin. Okay, so you're down here. Okay.
Yeah. We're in Austin,
funny.
but it's still a city. We're not rural. But
Yep.
Yeah, a lot slower. So what business are you guys in now? Are you prepping for your house? Do you do a homestead, or what are the Texas Boys about now?
Yeah, so we're homesteaders. We are our homestead here at the house. We live on 5.5 acres. About 4 years ago, we purchased a little 25-acre ranch. We call it a ranch. Texans wouldn't call it a ranch.
They would call it like a ranchette.
Yeah, they would call it a ranchette. We got 25 acres and a pond. We got a small herd of longhorn over there, maybe about 16 head. So we raise cows over there. We raise over here at the homestead. We have about 400 fruit trees planted.
Yep.
We have about
60 to 80 Muscovy ducks.
Yeah.
And then we got a small flock of chickens, just probably 20, 30 of them.
And we got a pet cooney pig.
We got a pet cooney pig. And every year we've been trying to fine tune our gardening techniques and stuff like that. So we've been trying all types of different things. The lasagna gardening, and then we tried raised bed gardening, and we tried direct sowing into the ground gardening, the non-till method, the non-weeding method, just letting it be a jungle. So yeah, we're just experimenting, trying it out.
Try, fail, adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your goal with the farm? Are you trying to be completely self-sustainable? Are you trying to produce excess to sell?
Ultimately, that's our goal. We want, as far as the fruit trees, well, what we've done is many different things. About 6 years ago, the boys started a YouTube channel as a hobby.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
And that 2 years ago, Matt decided to turn that into a business. So to monetize the YouTube channel, we started a website. And from our website, we sell different homestead products that we either procure, like, for example, we sell handmade soaps that we purchased them from a homestead family in Katy, Texas. We sell honey, we sell coffees and teas, and from our food forest, we sell something called a food forest in a box. So when our fruit trees go dormant this time of year, we start to take cuttings, and we have a product called Food Forest in a Box, where you can buy fruit tree cuttings and start your own food forest. So that's all it. We try to be synergistic and integrate everything. Mm-hmm. One, to monetize our homestead, to help pay and offset the infrastructure. But our basic concept of self-sustainability is that no one is self-sustainable, but a community is required, which what that does is it enables you to be a little bit more specific in your skill sets.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything, or you don't have to feel like you have to do everything. When you have a community to rely on, you don't have to raise. Is it good to raise all your own beef and all your own poultry and all that type of stuff? Yes, it is. But you can't, like, for several years before we even had our ranch property, we bought beef from our neighbor. Yeah. And he gave us amazing neighbor discount. And the one reason why he gave us a discount too was because we were right across the street. He wasn't always able to be there 24 hours. And he's like, if you see a calf be born or whatever, you can check up on it and just have this, and we just have this community. And every time somebody moves into the community, we try our hardest to get out there and talk to them. And recently we had a neighbor just move in, and all of us boys were able to go over there and start helping them out with projects and everything. And in the last 7 years or so, us boys have learned everything from carpentry, plumbing, electrical, running really big, heavy equipment, to just really good work ethic. And it's been a real big blessing now because we've been able to do so much in the community, and it's been a real big blessing to everybody around us. And just trying to establish our name in the community. So then people are like, if they ever hear our name mentioned, they're like, I know exactly what those people are like. I know their work ethic and everything like that. And the one thing is that we're doing with our online businesses is trying our hardest, at least for us boys, to be able to stay home and be really engaged in our community and help them out, because we're really trying to strive for not going out and getting a Joe Schmo job, or just going out and getting a normal 9-to-5 job, which is perfectly fine at the end of the day. If we do have to go out, it's fine. But us boys are trying our hardest, and we've been accomplishing that. Sadly, we've been kicked off YouTube a couple times.
Yeah.
So that's kind of put a big kink in thing financially. But we've been able to...
Were you violating their terms of service by talking about homesteading?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because...
Yes, yeah. We, they're taboo... Their community guidelines is the term I'm looking for.
They said, they literally told us, we think you violated our community guidelines. We think.
Yeah, it's very incredibly vague on purpose.
You know how evil it is to take care of yourself and to homestead and farm, to
help you.
Yeah.
It is.
Can't allow that.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. That's exactly right.
Pretty much. Yeah. So anyway, we pretty much have been trying our best to use YouTube as a platform, and been just trying to spread the word and all the knowledge and everything that we've been acquiring, and just trying to teach people as much as possible and inform them on what's going on in the world, and not just live in certain people, which is perfectly fine. But there's loads of channels out there that just, it's all puppy dogs and rainbows. There's not ever a bad day. We try to really keep it real,
be real,
and just be super real. And, we do get some flack from other YouTubers about that, but that's fine. They can do whatever they want to do. We can do whatever we want to do. And since we are real, we kind of, YouTube doesn't like that so much. So anyway, we've been taking a lot of our money from the internet, which has been kind of awesome, and then reinvesting it into physical things. And we bought a sawmill a year ago, all of us. We just saved up for a couple months, and we went out and bought a sawmill, and just strategically buying these implements and tools just in case, the online thing totally craps the bed. We will have some backup income, So,
okay.
But Lord willing, we can get, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Finish, please.
Yeah, just Lord willing, we can keep this thing afloat. Yeah. Because we're actually kicked off our main channel, the Texas Boys. We're like 4 or 5 days into our 2 weeks that they're going to have us kicked off of there, because they went back 5 years ago and found one of my videos when I was like 11 years old, and I was showing our homestead tools, and I just showed my pocket knife or something. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't using it or anything. I was just talking about it, how it was a little handy Swiss Army knife or whatever. And they were like, "Oh, that's what did they say?
Dangerous child activity."
Yeah, or whatever. So all that type of fun stuff.
Well, tell me, how is what are some examples of incidents or events that touched your heart or made you realize the whole journey was worth it? Or what are some memorable things that you can talk about that has happened on the homestead?
Oh man, just literally, not to overstate it, but everything. Just living after we moved, it was very surreal for years. We're here, and we're living a different, more relaxed lifestyle, and
peaceful.
It's very incredible the way the Lord blessed us, because when we left, because of the real estate market, we couldn't sell our homes to close on it. Always had an impeccable credit score. You know, I had a medium-sized business, and I had an enormous amount of revolving credit. Well, the foreclosure shattered all that, and we were basically dealing with a small bit of savings, and we were able to buy a fixer-upper and fix it up. And then we were able to just save all of our money. I got a job in construction sales and worked my way up there, and we're able to save our money, and then bought a ranch. And then we just last year, I don't know how long, a couple months ago, we just bought another 15 acres. And it's just such a huge blessing. And there's been so many different events in our community. What happened? We're still kind of coming out of a drought here. We're still in a drought. And one idea that we had is we said, you know what? We want to leverage the YouTube channel. And since we're starting to experience some growth and we're getting a lot of traction, our neighbor, who's really a really great friend of ours and mentor, that's kind of taught us about ranching and cattle
and homesteading in general.
Yeah. We were like, you know what? He needs hay for his cows. In 2011, the last really bad drought, they had to sell their entire herd, and
they lost money big time.
And we were like, we don't want that to happen again. So we rallied on our YouTube channel, and in 7 days, our subscribers raised $10,000.
Yep.
And we were able to buy him enough hay,
100 bales,
to get all the way through.
Yeah. And the cool thing was that we didn't tell him, and we got to film his reaction and everything and post on the YouTube channel. And it was incredible. And we were working in the rain. It was like a double blessing. We got the rain, we got the hay. The hay was coming in, and then all out of the blue, it just starts dumping rain while we're getting the hay, because we're getting the hay because it was really, really bad drought. I mean, the grass had totally turned brown. Yeah. All the ponds were drying up. He only had about 100 bales. He was telling me he was going to need a little bit over 200 bales to keep at least some of his cows. And I'm like, man, this poor man, he needs his cows, because he put all of his retirement money pretty much into his ranch and into his cattle. And he has these amazing award-winning Longhorns. And I'm like, I can't have him go off and sell these cows for pennies on the dollar and then have this beef shipped off to, overseas China. Somewhere. Yeah. So, it was incredible. I made a video with me and him on it, and it got like 300,000 or 400,000 views. And after that, we were able to start Give, Send, Go, and it was incredible. So we did two fundraisers. We raised $10,000 for our neighbor. Yep. And then somebody referred us to Darlene, who's in college. She's down towards College Station. Yep. And we were able to raise another $7,500 for hay for her. Mm-hmm. So it's been really neat to leverage our YouTube channel and our super awesome subscribers and community to give back and do some really neat things and just be a blessing to people and encourage people.
Oh, that's amazing. What has it done to like the family dynamic, the parents and the kids and how everyone relates? Was there a lot of resistance at first, or, how's that been?
There really wasn't, because all part ethos and why and how we raise and teach and train. It's the reason we homeschool. And we have always treated our children because we didn't want to raise children. We wanted to raise adults. And I think the major problem in our society is that we've been raising, people have been raising children. And that's why you have 30 and 40-year-old children now, and they have purple hair and they have like self-entitlement, and everybody owes them everything because we have generations of Dr. Spock and all these people that have been raising children. So now we have 40 and 50-year-old children running around, whereas we wanted to raise young men and young ladies. So we treat and train our children as adults in a way, not in a, with wisdom, not in a totalitarian way, but we always consider them, we approach them, we say, as an equal, but we listen to them and we give them the opportunity to contribute, give us feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And we just explain all the time, hey, we're all in this together.
We're all one big team.
We're all on the same team.
Yeah.
We're all going to live and die by what we all do together here. Yeah. And that's the way that we approach this. And I mean, and you can't have a homestead. You know, I work outside of the home. My wife, she trains and raises the children. She makes us awesome food. She keeps everything clean and neat and tidy. And she works way harder than I do, and she works around the clock 24/7. But you know, when I'm outside of the home to get all these different animal chores done and get everything done around here, this is how the boys have honed all their skills. You know, James, the second oldest, he's a finished skilled carpenter. He's 15 years old. Wow. And he's also well-versed in electricity, in plumbing. The boys about 2 years ago bought how big's your tiny house?
It's 12 by 32.
So I said, look, I'm going to buy you a shed and y'all can retrofit it out. And they paid for all the upgrades, and they turned it into a tiny house, and it's got a fully working bathroom and a kitchen and
bedroom,
a bunkhouse.
Yeah.
So that's their deal.
So we don't even live in the main house. We live in our own house.
That's their living area, and they build it, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
Huh.
So that's you know, that's the way that we've decided to train. And, you know, we're not these strict homeschool people. We very much are like a relaxed kind of unschool, and we let the kids learn kind of at their own pace. And when they're ready, like when they're ready to read, I always tell the boys, you need to know how to read and you need to know how to communicate. But at the same time, we don't adhere to like grade levels and all these different Prussian type concepts that create issues and problems. Like what we've experienced is children are so apt and ready and designed and created to learn that trying to force them into different kind of boxes really prohibits their learning.
Yeah.
So if we just encourage the different areas that they're currently excelling in, the other pieces fall into place over the course of time.
Yeah. And the other thing too is with the whole homestead thing, I think I don't think the parents tell the kid, I don't think they tell them, but at least what y'all tell us all the time is you're always reinforcing us in the fact that this property and this place is our legacy. When y'all pass away, this is ours, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of kids don't see it that way. And the parents might not even see it that way. But I mean, like all of us kids, it's so awesome because all of us kids want to stay on the property or stay as close as possible, because my brother goes out and buys some piece of equipment. If I live half an hour or 40 minutes away, it's going to be really tricky to use that and barter and, you know, work as a family unit. So if we can all be nice and close to each other, we can accomplish so much stuff. So the Lord blessed us with 15 acres right beside us. So now we're actually on 20 acres, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And that gave us enough property here to go ahead and build all of us kids some houses on the property. So we're going to put in a deep well, Lord willing, and hopefully hit water.
Yeah.
Praying about that.
Yeah.
And
that's
just
great.
Going to go ahead and build our own houses and live life like that. Because I was always thinking, I was like, man, I don't want to leave this place. We worked so hard putting on all these fruit trees and infrastructure. And we went ahead, just us boys went out and built a 20 by 40 carpentry shop. And we put in our wood mill and our pole barn. I'm like, why would I ever want to leave this place and go start it all over again, maybe get in debt and all this stuff when I could just go ahead, save up some money, buy a house slowly but surely. I'm already living in my own kind of bunkhouse type thing with my brothers. And we'll just slowly, each house, we're going to build my house first. And then we'll just go down the road. As soon as I get done my house, we'll save up again, all of us brothers, and then we'll build the next one's house and the next. Sadly, my house will probably be the guinea pig house. So as soon as we get to the last one, perfect. So
that's really cool. So you guys probably know people still back east. What do you interact with anyone back east? And is it strange? Do they make fun of you, or does it? What's it like?
They don't necessarily, all of our family is still back east,
Yeah.
and we stay in contact, but it's very kind of peculiar because see, there was different things that I've been talking to them about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And there's a lot of this normalcy bias and like, oh, well, it's not really like that. And what's kind of happened is, the whole Alex Jones was right kind of stuff. And it's like, but there's no, it's the weird part is it's like this Pollyanna syndrome where you talk to them and, oh, how's the weather up there? There's no substance. There's no substance to it. It's got to be this generic, superficial discussion. And my one half brother, he said, oh, I think that's really great that you're teaching your kids like the menial things in life and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow. Thanks, bro. But like, way to take a shot at me, But
so that's how. Like, how else do the people back east describe what you're doing? Do they think you're crazy, or like
they won't say that to us? But no. Yeah, I totally think they thought we were
pretty nuts.
We lost our minds. But looking back, you just we're so grateful. The timing was perfect. We have such a developed infrastructure and community now, private labeled my food forest, the food 401k, because as a financial planner, I saw a lot of chicanery in the financial markets, a lot of artificial synthetic shenanigans. And so in 2008, I got completely out of the market. And when we got back on our feet and started investing again, we had always done well in real estate. And I said, I know I want to buy dirt. I can't go wrong. If you can never go wrong in real estate if you buy right. You cannot go wrong. And so I'm like, I know I want to buy dirt, which I coined Dirt Coin. And then the other thing I wanted to do is dollar cost average into infrastructure. And that's our food 401k. So we started systematically setting aside 10% a week and investing it in fruit trees. And that's how we've acquired and accumulated 400 of, we have all different types, apples, pears, cherries, figs, peaches. Wow. But it takes time,
Yeah.
And you do a little bit at a time. It's like setting a fence, when you set that fence, it's labor intensive, but you only have to do it once.
And then you just have to maintain it. And
if you do 1% a day in 100 days, you're 100% ahead of where you were. And it sounds so trivial and so mundane, but that's exactly the reality.
That's a good lesson. I know everyone's overwhelmed and breaking stuff down into pieces and just working through the pieces really is helpful. So I understand what you guys are saying. So what's next from here? I mean, just continue on and, you feel like you picked the right life, the right lifestyle, and just keep going, or are there other, big plans or different things that you guys want to do?
We are, we're very thankful for our lifestyle. The boys want to continue to grow the Longhorn herd. Mm-hmm. They want to build the infrastructure we have here, and they're going to develop their homes. And we want to harden a lot of our infrastructure when it comes to water and different things like that. And power.
Yep.
And so we're going to be doing a solar project. We're going to be doing a deep well that'll probably have solar components. We're going to continue to grow our social media if it's viable. We're on different platforms. So we have 3 channels on YouTube. We're on Rumble and Odyssey. And we also have our social media on our website, thetexasboys.com. So we're going to continue to develop as we're allowed and permitted by the technocrats to grow our social media footprint, and then also continue to grow our website, which, we're doing as we synergistically grow our homestead. And this way, Lord willing, the plan is, we can continue to provide for the entire family so we can all stay on homestead and continue to develop our infrastructure, and which in turn will continue to develop our community. We've been so blessed, in our ranch. We have had in the past 4 or 5 years that we've had the ranch, we have helped, I don't even know, 8 or 10 families move. They've moved and they've been able to temporarily stay at our ranch because we have power and water over there. And we've been able to use that to bless other people that are like, yeah, you know what? And many people that have moved from all over the place.
Everywhere.
And as a matter of fact, there's a family there now and they're building, it's super awesome, but they bought a really nice flatbed trailer and they're building a tiny house on the trailer and they want to like build it and then like tour the country. And so it's neat. Cool. We were blessed with that ranch and it's paid for. We're completely debt free. So we're bootstrapping everything and we're funding everything with cash flow. My credit's repaired and restored and all that good stuff, but we're not avoiding and eschewing debt. We're not going back into debt. Yeah. And we're going to bootstrap everything. And, the best is yet to come. We're just building it bigger, better, stronger, faster, and just trying to, like Matt was saying, galvanize and reinforce all of our weak points in our infrastructure to just for who knows what, whatever may come.
Yeah, no, that's really great. It sounds like you guys will be able to make either a movie or, put out a book or two about this whole transition, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
That'd be really neat.
Yeah. Well, excellent. So what's the best way for people to watch your progress and keep tabs and find you? Where can they go?
Sure. Okay. So our website is thetexasboys.com and our videos are posted there. We have a native area that you can subscribe to watch all of our videos ad free. And we have all of our products available there. Should also be able to find all the links to our other social media platforms. We are the Texas Boys on YouTube, which is currently, we're not available on there, but we are at the Texas Boys React.
But they can watch all of our videos.
Yep, they can still watch our videos there. We have our backup channel, the Texas Boys React. Mom has a channel at the Texas Girls. And then we are on Rumble as the Texas Boys. We're on Odyssey as the Texas Boys. Yep. And that's where everybody can check us out, subscribe.
Yeah.
And they can follow us on our journey. And we do a lot of current event stuff. And we discuss current events and read and discover different articles there. And then we also do our day-to-day lives. And you can see our infrastructure and what we're up to, providing solutions to the problems that we discover and share.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks so much for sharing your stories and coming on the podcast. And I wish you much luck and success and teach as many people as you can, this way of living. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having us. We really, I really like your podcast. Yeah. And I think what you're doing is really awesome. And we want to share this podcast on our platforms as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that definitely. Way all of our subs can learn about podcasting, check you out. And I was on your website and I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Thanks, guys.
Before you stop listening, ask yourself, what are one or two useful things you heard on this podcast that can help you overcome food and fertilizer shortages, skyrocketing prices, the cost of living, or your job being outsourced overseas or eliminated due to automation? Please like and subscribe and tell your friends and family about their Surviving Hard Times podcast. We're all going to need help now and in the near future.